Hello.
Hello. There we go.
Perfect. Yeah, awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. Dennis, Shelby, and I are here to talk to you today about some different health aspects because this month, the month of May, is Mental Health Awareness Month. And Dennis, Kelly Bradford, and I actually had the pleasure of going through a health coach certification process. And what we did is we went through a whole bunch of different areas of health and what it means to really encompass what self-care is and how to take care of yourself. And during this time, we absolutely think this is one of the most important times that we can kind of focus and bring back some of those mental health awareness, some techniques, some tips and tricks, and just things to really recenter yourself, especially during these high stress times. So today we're going to focus on two of those. Dennis is going to talk to us a little bit about his balance between work and play. I'm going to kind of jump in here and there, but for the most part, you get to sit back and kind of relax. And we invite you to share this with maybe someone that pops up or comes to mind when you're listening. So just take a seat back, grab a cup of coffee, relax, and enjoy this presentation as we go through two different health aspects, work and play.
Yeah, thanks, Erica. This is going to be fun today.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's called the Circle of Life wheel. And if you look at this wheel, you're going to see all what are the key areas of life. And the next slide shows my wheel when I took the course, and I'm sharing it with you for this reason, is how easy it is. And the way this works is the better you feel about a certain topic like work or finances or relationships or exercise or diet, you shade in that part of the wheel and on how you feel you are doing in those areas. So today's focus is on play and work. And so you're going to see that a couple slice of pie there on my wheel. So what this indicates is I think I'm doing a pretty good job in the area of work, but I got some work to do in the area of play.
Unintended, right?
Yeah, right.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to dive in and we're going to focus on Dennis's play aspect first. And I'm going to ask him some questions. And you guys, as I ask him these questions, feel free to kind of evaluate and assess yourself in this area. So I'll let Dennis kind of define play and what we kind of go into as far as asking ourselves some of these questions.
Sure. The definition of play for this presentation, and as we went through our program on health and wellness coaching, is to engage in an activity for enjoyment and recreation rather than for a serious or practical purpose. Mm-hmm. And the key words here are creativity and humor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. So when we kind of go into those, what play means for at least your health, can you tell us a bit more about what that means?
Sure. Play can refer to your sense of humor as well as how much time you spend doing things that you actually enjoy. Mm. It can also mean creativity. I think people forget that.
Right.
We are creative beings, and the ability to create provides quite a bit of energy. Mm-hmm. And so how much creative energy are you allowing yourself to express in your home, in the arts, at work, in your daily life? Play is something that should be fun and enjoyable.
Right. And right now, I feel like, don't you probably agree that right now it's one of those things that I don't know if people in healthcare are really getting a lot of right now.
Yeah, I'm a serious person, and the business that we are in is serious. And then with this pandemic,
Mm,
I think we can get in that rut. And
yeah.
what we really need to do is to use that other side to balance that out. Because if you look here, the opposite of play is work, seriousness, struggle, practice like piano. Recently, I learned how to hula hoop. So in the beginning, play is takes work, and
Right.
times right now, you know, there the work that we've been doing in our jobs has even changed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there's been a real focus on safety and how to treat people in different ways.
Right, you're spot on. As far as like this high stressful time, can you give us some of these tips that we can implement and kind of like refocus our energy on so we could have a little bit more play in our lives?
Sure. I don't know how many of you that play comes natural. Play is not natural for me. Um, I was sharing with Erica earlier. My my I was the firstborn, so my baby book, that's what they called them, is
Mhm.
filled. She did every page. There's pictures, there's hair, there's footprints. I mean, my mom did it up right. And she wrote this story, this letter to me, and I think I was 3 years old. And she talked about how I was a good boy, but she said, Dennis is a serious child.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I am, and I still am a serious person. So play does not come naturally for me.
Right.
So here's the tips. You need to build it into your schedule, particularly if it doesn't come natural to you, like me.
Mm.
It's
Mhm.
also very important if you're going to be successful to have someone hold you accountable. Give someone permission to
Mhm.
ask you, "Hey, how's your play going?" Um,
Right.
and then the other thing is to set a goal. What do you want to achieve in the area of play?
Mhm.
Like, well, this week I think I'm gonna watch at least one um, uh, comedy, a
Right.
movie. I'm going to I'm gonna do I'm gonna cook, or I'm gonna do this thing that I really enjoy uh, 2 times a week.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That, and I like how you said like 2 times a week. You're making it kind of realistic. Like, of course, we're not going to go off and be able to have like super fun, adventures every single day because that's just not realistic. But for 2 times a week, for you to maybe do what you were saying, like cooking a fun meal or watching a movie, that's
Right.
realistic, and that's something that could really add a little spice to the life, I guess. In regards to play. So, could you
Right.
give us maybe some other examples of what we could do for play if we're like
Sure.
me and have no time?
Sure. And I'm going to add one thing to what you just said, Erica.
Mm-hmm.
Is one of the things that we learned in our training is we want people to be successful. So set goals that you can achieve. And I
Right.
think most of us, many times we say, well, I'm going to run a marathon or something instead of
Yeah.
running a lap around the football field. So
Yes.
we need to set realistic goals and have success.
Right.
Some examples is there something that you've enjoyed doing in the past and you just haven't been doing it? Restart it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something you want to try, something new? Uh, what I like to do in cases like that is find somebody that you know, or you could that does something well, that's passionate about some kind of form of play. Uh, Maybe and it could be cooking, or it could be hiking, playing an instrument,
Mm-hmm.
horseback, right? It could be a number of things, but you need to do something that's joyful and fun, and something that gets your creative juices flowing.
Right, right. And sometimes that takes a little, like while you're asking those questions, I was kind of trying to reflect and ask myself that it's not something that comes natural to me right now because of being a parent and being a mom and then having, you know, a lot going on with work. And so I have to really sit here and think about those questions and triggering what do I really enjoy? And some of those things that I really enjoy are going to take some work. And so with those three things that you said above, you know, with scheduling it, I literally am somebody who's going to use my planner, like you said, and write in, you know, Tuesday and Thursday night, I'm love watching YouTube videos. I have certain things that I like to look for and just watch and kind of let my brain release. And so I literally write in my calendar 2 times or 3 times a week, like pop on this or go watch this movie. So I think those are really good tips. And I think for some of us, this isn't going to be something super easy that comes natural, like you said.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good stuff. I love that. So now we get to kind of transition to the opposite of play, which is work. And I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Work is an activity involving mental or physical effort done in order to achieve a purpose or result, a task or tasks to be undertaken, something a person has to do. The key words here are career and jobs, and they could be either paid or unpaid.
Okay. All right. So you're going to have to trigger us. What kind of questions and how can I rate and evaluate how I feel about what kind of work I'm doing?
That's great. For me, my work is mostly mental.
Mm-hmm.
I walk around the hospital and things, but most of my work is mental. So that's one thing is your job more mental or physical? How do you feel about those things? But how do you rate your satisfaction with work? It's basically 2 areas. How do you feel from a satisfaction standpoint about the profession or the career that you've chosen? You need to ask yourself, am I in the right career? Is this the right thing for me? And I've met people in my life that said, you know, I thought I would like to be this person, but it's really not what I want to do or be. So that's the number one thing. And if you do like what you're doing, the next thing is, do you like where you work, the place that you go to work, the organization you work for, the people your coworkers, the management, your boss? Are those interactions positive? Are they supportive? Do you feel supported in your work? And later on, we'll talk a little bit more about my experience in life, and that one really came into play for me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So we already kind of talked about the opposite a little bit with the play and the leisure and the fun and just like that nonchalant kind of outlook on life. So we'll head into some more questions and we're going to dig deep into Dennis's kind of life. But like what I said earlier, ask yourself these questions while he and I are volleying back and forth. These are absolutely wonderful cues to ask yourself right now and to kind of get in tune with yourself. So Dennis, let's kind of dig into what work means to you.
It was fun preparing for this presentation because I had to look back, when did I actually start working?
Right.
And I realized that I've been working for at least 60 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It started with chores as a kid, and then getting little jobs with people, cleaning up their yard, doing yard work, that kind of thing. I had a real steady job through the last 2 years in high school where I actually worked at the high school and
Mm.
emptied trash cans, swept hallways, painted classrooms, the auditorium, cleaned up after football games and basketball games. So I had a steady job there.
Mm.
I even worked in the oil fields during the summer between college and then I got into my career, which was I always wanted to work in healthcare, and I started out as a medical social worker and then got into leadership and now administration. I define work in two areas. I call it little work and big work. And for me, little work is jobs and tasks and paperwork.
Yeah.
Big work it's your career, it's your profession, it's raising your family. And I feel real fortunate to be in big work that is very meaningful. Healthcare is a meaningful area to work in. It's an area that and you don't even have to work in the clinical area, just being in that environment.
100%.
Whether you're clinical or non-clinical, you get a chance to make a difference in people's lives. And at the end of the day, you go home and you lay your head down at night and say, today was good. I helped somebody today.
Totally agree.
So that's, I feel really good about that. So that's the big work. The thing I don't like is little work. About my job, I have to do reports. I have to do these kinds of tasks, but it's part of the job.
Absolutely. And I like how we kind of vaguely talked a little bit about like your environment. And I think we're unique in that all of our clinics and our hospital really do provide like a unique environment where, like what you said, non-clinical and clinical people are kind of getting the joy of bringing somebody help or care or love or compassion. And I think, as we watch this video and our employees watch this video, we can all kind of agree that our environment and our setting allows us, hopefully at the end of the day, to like put your head down and feel fulfilled. And I think that environment setting, really plays a lot. And if you don't feel like you are in the right, space, or you're not surrounded by, people or management, that doesn't support you, you have to start asking yourselves these questions. Why? What can I do to change it? It's in your hands. And I think that a lot of times people just kind of get stuck and they're like, well, I'm just going to keep going about life and not be happy. And I always, ask myself, what can I do to change that? And so that's kind of one of those things I think it's a little hard to do, but you have to kind of get real. You have to get real with yourself and ask yourself these questions that we were just talking about. So could you perhaps provide us, since you do have a good grasp and your rating on your circle was really high with work. So tell us maybe some advice that we could use.
Sure. One of the things, I say I love my work, but there has been, when I look back over my career, I would say about 80% of the things I've done in my career, I feel good about. It's been positive. But there's 20% that I would say I didn't enjoy my work. And when I look at that, why didn't I enjoy the work? I enjoyed the work, but I didn't enjoy the culture that I was working in.
Right.
It was the times I've not enjoyed my work, it was because the people I worked for were disrespectful and the culture was not supportive. And those were difficult times in my life, and my wife and my kids went through those with me, and they struggled and suffered as well. But I can say that just for those of you watching these years in Neodesha have been probably the best years of my career. because I've been able to do both things. I've been able to do something that I love and am passionate about in an environment and in a community that is very supportive.
I totally would piggyback on that and say the same thing. You know, that support system from not only a hospital, but from like an entire community that like values what we do every day just makes your job and what you do for work like absolutely enjoyable. That's great advice. Absolutely good.
So if I were to leave you with one piece of advice when it comes to work, is find a job or profession that you love and work in a place that is supportive and provides an environment where you can do your best work.
Absolutely.
When you have those two things, it ceases to be work anymore.
Absolutely. I think those are that's a really good piece of advice. I really think that finding the job and profession that you love may take time, and it may take asking yourself these questions multiple times, but I think when you know, it's like one of those things when you finally do find the job and profession, and you try it out for a while and you just know. It's like one of those things. I completely agree. I now know what it's like to feel unsupported from a past job. And now that I'm in a place where I feel cared for, I will never, ever go back to that type of situation again. So
yeah, that's one thing I learned. And I guess you have to learn those things the hard way because you don't really know how bad they are at the time, but you know what you do not ever want to return to again.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. So now we kind of get into the hard part of finding the balance between the two things, work and play. So we kind of talked about how play might not always be natural or easy. So we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would say it isn't easy, and that some people have to learn how to play.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I like to look at is, okay, play in the beginning, maybe if you're doing something new, may feel like work.
Mm-hmm.
When you're learning something, when you're learning how to play an instrument, for me recently, learning how to hula hoop.
Right.
One, I didn't think I could do it, and how frustrating it was when I couldn't keep that hoop up around my waist.
Yeah.
But it was work, and it's work in the beginning.
Mm.
So that's something that I've learned. And some things that I've been doing recently during this COVID-19 crisis is in this whole area of balance of work and play, I've really tried not to bring as much work home with me.
Yeah.
Now, that
hard.
Those of you that have kids, it's easier for you to do that. But when you're empty nesters, it's real easy to slip into doing work at home. So trying not to do as much work at home. Also, I've been spending my weekends cooking. I love to cook. Cook is not work for me. Now, for some people, that's work.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not work. It's fun.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing some new dishes and some of my favorites and my family's favorites. It's fun to do those things. It's that time of year where I'm getting my 1995 Cobalt boat ready for the lake. And I got that shining last Saturday. It out and it started right up after I had to charge the battery first, but it started right up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's not a better boat in the world than a Cobalt.
Absolutely.
And other things I like to do and have done is watch movies. I've always loved movies. In fact, my wife and I owned a video store at one time in our.
I didn't know that. Cool.
That's a story in itself, but
cool.
I love movies. We would have movie marathons with couples many years ago. So watching movies, they take you to a new place. They may take you away, or a funny movie just makes things happy and fun and light. So
Absolutely. And
those are,
really, yeah, that's and no better time, right, than like right now to like get lost in a book or a movie and
yeah,
bringing that little bit of peace and just being away from all the stress for a little bit. I like how you said that try not to take work home with you, and that is a struggle for sure. And I think a lot of people that'll be watching this, they'll have to agree. It's just really hard to do that. But if you schedule something like cooking, like or the movie, or just something that you really enjoy doing, I think that will help, and it'll start to slowly add up. And as you are held accountable, you're going to have more play in your life.
right.
So, what would you say, since we all, for most of us that are watching this, are in the healthcare setting, what can we do? Is there anything else that we can do to bring play into our lives?
Okay. Yeah, in this time, during this pandemic and such, it's very important to bring play and humor to your place of work.
Right.
Play just lightens things up. It brightens the day. Some of the things that we've been doing here, and they were strategic and purposeful. Again,
Mm-hmm.
scheduled.
Yeah.
Was we've allowed for people to wear jeans.
Oh.
We did an 80s day, and I saw some pretty interesting hairstyles that day. I sent pictures of myself back in the 80s and my family.
Yeah.
I had quite a few interesting comments. Probably the most fun I've had, the comments people made. We did a cookout. We have popcorn. Yesterday we had popsicles. So
Yeah.
just doing things like that, I think, is so important.
Absolutely. I'm sure the clinics do similar things. I know a lot of people do food, and I think a lot of food brings happiness and fun and just kind of something different to the table. So I encourage and I love when people, can gather with food and fun, and bringing music involved, of course, is like a huge thing for me. So we at the gym, of course, always having fun music, upbeat music playing all the time just brings like a smile to your face. So
Right.
I think we can all relate to that. So what about anything else, how we can kind of find that balance between both work and play during COVID?
Yeah. I think one of the things is if you're like me and it doesn't come natural,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you need to hook up with some people that are naturals at it. And there's a couple people that I know that they just stand out in our organization. And that's Dr. Meyer and Mike Emerson. Just talk to Francie Curry and he can tell you all their shenanigans. But
Yeah,
those guys know how to bring play to work.
absolutely.
And so if you're wanting to learn how to do that balance thing between work and play, find somebody like those guys that get it, that they know how to do it, or learn from somebody like me that's serious and where you have to actually plan and
Mm-hmm.
schedule and such.
Right, right. I think those are good tips. I think, in a managerial setting, it's so important to like have your employees part of the fun making. There's no doubt there are fun people all over this hospital and throughout our clinics, and you just have to have that good energy and that enthusiastic type of mentality where it's not all doom and gloom. And even though we are in a crazy serious and unfortunate type of setting, it's so important to have a little humor, right? And those guys that you were just mentioning, the whole reason I even brought up the food situation is because they had an awesome like spread for Cinco de Mayo the other day, and it was like, oh my gosh, that is so fun. And the rehab and gym people, we all got together, and it was just, you got to do that. You have
Right.
to do that. I was so happy like when I left and fulfilled. So this has been amazing. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, it's been a joy to be with you all today. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of the series. Kelly Bradford's going to be speaking on some very important topics. So just, just get out there. When things get a little bit too serious, lighten up, go out for a walk, go outside, shrug your shoulders, go by and visit Dr. Meyer and Mike, and just enjoy your family when you leave work. Enjoy each other.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Awesome. More to come. Like Dennis said, we will be sharing stuff next week too. And I'm really excited. Next week is all about relationships and family. So stay tuned, and we love you all.
Okay. Thanks, Erica.
Thank you.